Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, hello friends, it's been a while again. Sorry for that, but this is the way May's going, into June now. Welcome back. This is the post-Wonderfest show now. I love me some Wonderfest. Wonderfest is, I would say, the high point of my year as far as modeling. It brings out, here's the thing, Wonderfest brings out the best in people. Also brings out the worst in people, and myself included. I've had a while to digest Wonderfest, coming back from, the long drive home. And I don't like how I get after Wonderfest, because I get really petty after Wonderfest, and I recognize it as petty. Everybody has a much better time at Wonderfest when they win. And anybody who tells you winning doesn't matter, they're either lying to themselves or they're lying to you. No one puts something on the table and doesn't hope to win something. So let's just get that out of the way. That's BS. Oh, I just want to put it up there and show it for everybody. That's BS, and I'm guilty of that myself. Oh, I just want people to see my stuff. I don't care if I win. Bull! You're there to win. But that having been said, and my pettiness extends to other people, which is bad. And I'm trying to work at that. I can understand why I didn't win something much easier than I can understand why somebody else did win something, and that's petty, and I need to work on that. But all in all, I did okay. I got a silver award for the Blue Midget, and I'm convinced it's either because they didn't know it was 3D printed or they didn't know it was mine. That had to be the only two reasons I can think of why it would have. I mean, I'm very proud of that build, and Keith did a wonderful job producing that kit. I'm not trying to take anything away from that. It's just when I saw some of the things that went unmerit, well, they got merits. I got a lot of merits. When I saw some of the things that did get awards versus some of the things that didn't get awards, you're left scratching your head. Now, Wonderfest judging, this complaint happens every year. Wonderfest judges, they don't care about your intent. They don't care about the amount of time you put in on something. They don't care the obstacles you have had to overcome. And it's not really their job to. They're there to judge results. The results that you put on the table, that's all they're there to judge. They don't want to know that you were sick half the year. They don't want to know that your dog got run over. They don't want to know that you had a hard time packing it to bring to the show. It's not their job to care about that. They want to see the results on the table. And based on the results on the table, I think some people got screwed over. And I'll say that. And I think I got less than I should have on some cases. Now, there are some cases I know I put up a dodgy model, or I put up something that had, obvious flaws in it. But, that's not true for all of them. So, and I know other people who felt the same way. But this is a common complaint. It happens every year. I will say that 3D printing is the wave of the future, and if what a judge will disqualify is based on seeing a build line, then judging needs to perhaps step up to the 21st century, because that's going to happen. It happens in resin kits, and somehow seam lines are overlooked in resin kits. But but build lines are not overlooked in 3D printed kits, and that's something that I think maybe is due for a change. I'm gonna get off my soapbox here in a minute, I promise you. But there's two things I don't want to see at a Wonderfest show. I don't want to see a non-fiction entity. I don't want to see a house. I don't want to, unless it's from a movie. A sci-fi movie or a horror movie. I don't want to see a Confederate general. I don't want to see a Revolutionary War general bust. I don't want to see an actual piece of military equipment that's functioning or was historic or whatever That's for IPMS. That doesn't belong in a sci-fi / horror / fantasy show. Plenty of other opportunities for that. I don't want to see busts from non-sci-fi, horror, or fantasy movies. I saw a lot of really nicely painted Tombstone figures. Some very nice Val Kilmer figures. That's not sci-fi. That's not horror. That's not fantasy. It's pop culture, sure, but this isn't a pop culture show. So, where mine's... Okay, Lou, point the finger back at yourself. The Henson bust that I took, is that fantasy? It's fantasy. Is it a tribute to, Kermit? Is Kermit... Kermit's fantasy. He's pop culture. Is he sci-fi? No. Is he horror? Not really. He's more fantasy than anything else. That... I'll cop to. Was that perhaps non genre enough? Okay, I'll take the hit for that. But I saw a lot of stuff in there that just had no right being in a sci-fi / fantasy / horror convention. You can tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. That's my feelings. We had to. And also, I want to see an end to the really large dioramas. Really large dioramas that don't add anything to the show. I mean, again, unless it's a sci-fi or horror or a fantasy diorama. That's what I want to see. And we had to, cram all of the vehicles onto one table or onto a cramped up table so we could make room for a really large diorama that had nothing to do with sci-fi. That's my feeling. There should be a sign at the door when you get ready to enter. Checklist. Is your model genre appropriate? If it's not, take it to an IPMS show. That's my soapbox about that. Sorry, I'll get off of my box now. Like I said, I did okay with the one kit, and I want to show you the stash of what I brought back. And here's my stash. This is the stash of what I brought back, and you'll notice one thing in common. These are all figures. You want to know why? Because that's all there was to offer. Outside of what Keith had on his table and Steve had on his table, there were no spaceships to be offered. There was no hardware to be offered. And unfortunately, I built most of what Keith has, and I built most of what Steve has. So what I've got was to bring back were the figure kits. This is the box. This is the lovely, beautiful Maya kit from GKUS, same folks that did the Admiral Ball. I had to have that kit when I saw it. And this is I'm sorry I didn't take it out of the box, but this is the haircut of the apes. Now these are all 3D printed kits, and I'm going to go over every one of them to make sure there's no visible layer lines, for God's sakes. And then this is a resin kit from Star Ace of the Centaur. It would be the Centaur of Attention, is what I'm calling it. But all of these wonderful resin kits from Spaceballs, they were the gotta-haves. There were no, of course, because of the climate, the industry where it is, there were no commercial kits. There was no new round 2 offering. There was nothing new from Pegasus. There was nothing new from any of the big guys. So there was no got-to-have kit at the show. And I think, although it was very well attended, I think you'll find that a lot of the vendors will be telling you that they didn't do as well as they wanted to do because there was no new product. But for the trouble of this week, and people ask me if I took any pictures of the awards or did I cover the show. No, I didn't, because there are plenty of other people. My good friend Wayne Green did an excellent job of documenting what was in the contest, so it would be redundant for me to do that again. So I would recommend you go on YouTube and just type in Wonderfest 2025, and you will see plenty of coverage from the dealers' tables and from the contest room. But I think the first thing I'm going to start with this week is this little guy. I've got a few days left this week. I think I'll start on him. and we'll see where it goes from there. Now, they instituted some changes this year, which I thought made the whole process go much faster. They allowed us to come in on Friday and put our, not only can you buy your tickets earlier, much earlier than normal, you could get your model entries into the contest room Friday night instead of everybody and their mother waiting until Saturday morning to bring their stuff in. Spreading that out over Friday was the best idea. It was 20 years in the making. You know, something that should have been done 10 years ago, but I'm glad they finally did it and offered that extended time because everybody was less stressed. I could tell in the room. It was just, everybody could breathe. You could get your thing in. You didn't have to worry about making it in those 4 hours between 8 and noon on Saturday. You had Friday evening and then still Saturday if you wanted to do it. For the folks that only came in on Saturday, that weren't there on Friday, they could still bring their entries in on Saturday morning, and they weren't stressed either. Of course, Sunday, when you are taking things out, everything seems to leave in about 20 minutes. It takes 2 days to put it in, but 20 minutes to clean out. That's just how it goes. But because some of us have other things we need to be doing at the same time, spreading all of that out made it so much easier. I know I felt a whole lot less stress. But that was probably the smartest thing they did, was the extended opening hours. And that is Wonderfest 2025. Now, like I said, plenty of people took much better photos than I did and much better video than I did or would have. So go seek those out. Look, go search for yourself. Go and look at those photos, and then check back with the Wonderfest site and cross-reference them against their winner list. And you tell me if you think I'm out of line. I'm probably a little out of line because I say I'm too close to it. That's why I said going back to the original thesis, and that is it brings out the best and it brings out the worst. And somewhere in the middle is where you got to learn to live. So that's it for Monday, or for Tuesday. We'll be back on the table here starting a little bit later today on this Spaceballs Alien Kit.